We're always taught that the loudest person in the room, the one with the most to say, is the most powerful. But what if that's completely 100% wrong? In this explainer, we're going to dig into a framework that says true power, well, it comes not from speaking, but from being strategically silent. Just let that sink in for a second. This one idea completely reframes how we look at quiet people. It's not a weakness, it's a tactic. It's not about having nothing to say. It's about making a deliberate choice to listen, to observe, and to learn before you make your move. So yeah, let's just bust that central myth wide open right now. This has nothing to do with being an introvert or an extrovert. No, this is all about understanding the massive strategic value of just holding back. Think about it. When someone's quiet, we tend to assume they're nervous or unsure of themselves. But what if they're actually playing a completely different game? What if they're just calmly assessing the situation, gathering intel, and waiting for the absolute perfect moment to chime in? That quiet person isn't just sitting there. They are actively processing everything. And this all leads us to the core concept that makes the whole thing work. It's a really powerful idea, and it's called the Data Asymmetry principle. At its heart, it's really simple. It's an imbalance. In any interaction, a business negotiation, a first date, you name it, one person always knows more than the other. And the person with more information, more data, well, they have a huge advantage. The whole point is to make sure that person is you. See, every single time someone talks, they're doing more than just sharing an opinion. They're revealing their values, their fears, what they really want, all their blind spots. They are literally handing you their psychological blueprint. So the person who talks less and listens more, they're the one collecting all these blueprints, building a map of everyone else's mind. So this really sets up two fundamental roles in any conversation. You're either one or the other. You're the revealer or you're the collector. And this dynamic is absolutely crucial. The revealer, the noisy person, basically speaks to figure out what they're thinking. They give away all this incredibly valuable data for free. But the collector, oh, they're different. They think before they speak, gathering data with purpose. It's the difference between just moving pieces around a checkers board and studying the entire chessboard, understanding the whole system before making one single game-winning move. Okay, so how does this actually work in the real world? What's the mechanism that lets you become a collector instead of a revealer? Well, it all comes down to what we can call the economics of silence. You know that impulse. We all have it. That urge to jump in, to correct somebody, to share your own story, or just to fill an awkward silence. Inhibitory control is the mental muscle you build to fight that urge. It's a conscious choice to stay quiet, not because you're scared, but because it's strategic. And here's the 4-step playbook. First, you just resist that urge. You fight it. Second, you stop just passively hearing words and you start actively listening. You're watching body language, you're listening to tone, you're figuring out what's not being said. Third, you analyze all that data coming in, piecing together their blueprint. And then, and only then, once you have the informational advantage, do you act with absolute precision, saying exactly what needs to be said to get the biggest impact. So, what's the big payoff here? Why would you go through all this effort to build up this skill of inhibitory control? Because when you really understand how someone thinks, what drives them, and what they're afraid of, you can pretty much predict what they're going to do next. This lets you perfectly tailor your arguments, see their objections coming a mile away, and just navigate the whole conversation with an insight they don't have about you. You're not just reacting anymore, you're operating with a clear, undeniable advantage. And that's really what it all comes down to. I want to leave you with this one question. The next time you're in a meeting or on a date or in any kind of negotiation, just ask yourself this: who holds the data? Are you the one giving away your blueprint, or are you the one collecting it? Because once you start looking at conversations this way, you'll realize that very often the person who says the least is the one who understands the most.